The Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society podcast.
Welcome to the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society, a podcast dedicated to suspense, crime, and horror stories from the golden age of radio. I'm Eric.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Joshua.
We love mysterious old-time radio stories, but do they stand the test of time? That's what we're here to find out.
This week I have chosen The Cup of Gold from the series Dark Fantasy. In December of 1941, an issue of Movie Radio Guide published a letter from George M. Hamaker. It was in response to a Lights Out fan club asking about other shows similar to Lights Out. Hamaker's letter mentioned Dark Fantasy, a new series written by Scott Bishop.
The letter is worth mentioning because Scott Bishop was actually a pseudonym used by George Hamaker. A native of Kansas, Hamaker wrote pulp stories and performed on stage before joining Topeka station WIBW in the early 1930s. There he wrote for the local WIBW Players and the Crime Patrol. His work was featured in other shows including Grand Hotel, First Nighter, Grand Central Station, Silver Theater, and Lights Out. In 1936, Hamaker moved to Oklahoma City and continued to write for series such as Tales of the Witch Queen, The Heart of Martha Blair, and Calling Detective O'Leary.
Dark Fantasy ran from November 14, 1941 through June 19, 1942. Most of the actors heard on the show were also from the Oklahoma City area, including veteran radio actor Ben Morris and local stage actor Eleanor Naylor Coffrin. WKY's traffic manager, Daryl McAllister, was brought in to handle sound effects. WKY produced a second Dark Fantasy series that never made it to national syndication. This second run featured both Bishop and the show's original producer, John I. Prosser, and it ran from February 17, 1944 to April 12, 1944. All that is known about these later shows is two of the titles, Death Conducts an Experiment and Dig Another Grave.
Scott Bishop would go on to create and write another radio series, The Strange Dr. Karnak, which followed the exploits of the titular doctor as he investigated supernatural mysteries. Sadly, no episodes of this series are known to exist. Fortunately for horror fans, 27 of Bishop's original 31 Dark Fantasy episodes survive today. And now, let's listen to The Cup of Gold from Dark Fantasy, originally broadcast May 8th, 1942.
It's late at night, and a chill has set in. You're alone, and the only light you see is coming from an antique radio. Listen to the sounds coming from the speaker. Listen to the music, and listen to the voices.
Dark Fantasy.
The Cup of Gold.
This is the deciding shot of the tournament, ladies and gentlemen. Truman Davis, now champion, has just sunk his last putt on the last green to turn in the amazing score of 68. Jan Mason, the contender, is on the green with a 66, which in itself is even more amazing. Mason's ball lies at the very edge of the green. Looks like tough going. Should he sink the ball in one more stroke, turning a 67 as compared with a 68 by Davis, we'll have a brand new champion. Should Jan Mason require 2 strokes, he would tie up the match, and 3 strokes would defeat him. And now Mason has just stepped into position. He's bending over the ball. He eyes the center of the green with that masterly, dead-eye precision of his. Changes his footing slightly. There's not a sound from the spectators. Every breath is hell and excitement. This great contender prepares for victory or defeat. He pulls back the putter slightly, eyes the distance of the hole once more, takes deadly aim, hits the ball, and
it's in. He made it. The ball's in for the win for Jan Mason, and the crowd goes wild. It's a new champion, ladies and gentlemen. Jan Mason, the boy who came up the hard way to defeat the one and only Truman Davis. For 5 consecutive years, the master of it all. And here's the irony. Almost 11 years ago, when Jan Mason first thought of golf, he acted as caddy for Truman Davis, the man he defeated for the championship here today. Oh, the crowd has completely engulfed the two participants. And it's a little difficult for us to see them now. Oh, there they are, shaking shaking hands and smiling. We're trying to make our way over to them for a few words from both Mason and Davis. Oh, will you pardon me, please? Pardon me, lady. We're trying to get through. I beg your pardon, please. We'd like to get a few words from the two gentlemen. We're trying our best, ladies and gentlemen, to make our way through this excited throng, but... there's the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup for the tournament winner. It's just been handed to one of the official referees by a beautiful platinum-haired girl. The referee is about to make the presentation. No, something's wrong. The referee turns to his fellow judges. They're talking excitedly. We can't make out yet what's happening. The men are examining the Gold Cup. Oh, it's flashing in the sunlight. Really a beautiful thing. Wait a minute. What's that? Something's happened. It's John Mason. He's been shot. Someone shot the new champion. He's holding his left side. He's staggering. He's grabbed the Gold Cup. He's fallen out. John Mason is lying on the final ring.
Hello? I ask you not to disturb me, Clerk. I don't care if there is someone to see me. What? Who? Lee Sanders, the radio announcer? Well, tell him I'm not in. I don't care if he is standing there watching you talk to him. Tell him you're talking to the maid. What? Hello? Who's speaking? But I was talking to the room clerk. Now, look here, Mr. Saunders. What do you want with me? No, I'm sorry. I don't have time to see you. No, I have nothing to discuss with you. Goodbye. Oh, he said he wanted to talk to me about the murder. He saw me. He's suspicious. He knows something. I must get out of here. I'll hurry and pack my things. Oh, no time to pack. I just put on my coat, purse, hat. I'll carry the hat. All right. Oh, no, not the front way, the back.
Going somewhere, miss?
Oh, who are you?
I'm the fellow you hung up on.
What do you want?
I figured you'd try to run out the back way.
I don't know you. Let me by.
Oh, no. Back inside. We're going to talk.
There's nothing I have to discuss with you.
I'm afraid there is. A little matter of murder.
How much do you know?
Plenty. Come on, inside.
But
Inside. Now.
I have nothing to say to you.
You think not?
Not a thing in the world. I demand that you leave here at once before I call the police.
Oh, that way, is it? Very well. Here you are.
What do you mean?
Take the receiver. Shall I dial the number?
What number?
Police, of course.
Hang up that phone.
So, you're not as willing to call the police here as you pretend.
How did you find me?
I was lucky.
What do you mean?
You ran a stop sign downtown just after you'd come from the golf links. It was my car you almost hit.
Oh.
No one saw you leave the golf links. No one knew who you were. You weren't the girl who was officially in charge of the Gold Prize Cup.
No.
And what's more, the cup that was given to the chief referee wasn't the official prize cup.
No.
Instead, it was some fantastic thing. A cup of pure gold, but covered with some sort of ancient writing. Well?
Yes.
Now, look here. I'm a radio reporter, and I've got a story here. I want to know what it is.
I don't know the explanation myself.
Bottle it up and save it, sister. You murdered Jan Mason.
Did I?
Didn't you?
No one saw who shot him.
That's true. But it's the general opinion that you did it.
The general opinion?
Naturally. You weren't the girl in charge of the prize cup. The real girl and the real cup have disappeared. And you were standing in a position where you could have fired the shot.
Are you sure of that?
I'm positive I remember. I saw you.
Did I really shoot him?
What?
Tell me, did I really shoot him?
I don't know. All I know is that you were standing directly in front of Mason. And that so were 6 or 8 others.
I don't know. I don't know.
Look here. Maybe you and I can make a deal.
A deal?
Tell me your story. Tell me what happened. Maybe I can help you.
I don't know what happened.
What do you mean you don't know?
All I know is there was a big crowd and a golden cup. A little round white ball. A loud noise.
Go on.
That's all I remember. Next thing I knew, I was here in my apartment, stretched out on my bed with a gun in my hand.
Where is it?
In that drawer over there.
Yeah, this one over here?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been fired, a 32. Mason was killed with a 32.
He's dead.
If he isn't, sister, he's a great little pretender.
It wasn't my fault. I tell you, it wasn't my fault.
Oh, maybe it wasn't, maybe it wasn't. Now take it easy and tell me what happened.
Why should I tell you?
Because you've got to tell somebody.
But who are you?
My name's Lee Saunders. The clerk told you that on the phone. I'm a radio reporter, sports and news. Now it's your turn.
What?
Who are you?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Well, let me decide that. What's your name?
Ruth Kendish.
What do you have against Jan Mason?
I didn't know him.
You make a habit of killing men you don't know?
I didn't even know him, I tell you. I didn't know him. Oh, let me alone.
Now, stop that.
No.
Oh, stop it, I say. Do you want to tell me what happened, or do you want to tell me and the police?
They're looking for me, aren't they? The police.
What do you think?
Listen, I've told you what happened. I don't remember a thing except a big crowd, cup of gold, a little white ball, and a loud noise like a shot.
Yeah. And then you woke up here in your room with a gun in your hand. A gun that killed Jan Mason just a few moments after he'd won the golf championship.
It can't be true. It just can't be true.
You're in trouble, baby. You better let me try to help you.
What can you do?
I don't know till I've heard your story.
It must have been the incense.
Incense? Now, what are you talking about?
It came this morning in the mail. A little package with 3 little cones. It was addressed to me. There was a note inside. It's there in the drawer.
But the gun was?
Yes.
This the paper it was wrapped in?
Yes.
Is this the incense?
Yes.
Well, I thought you said your name is Ruth Kendish.
It is.
Well, this was addressed to Rotha Kendish.
What?
Sure. Look for yourself. There, you see?
Yes. Did you find the note?
What note?
Oh, there it is. You dropped it on the floor.
Oh, this.
Yes. Read it.
Rotha, you will put a fire to one of these precisely at 1 this afternoon.
Yes. It was the incense.
What?
I tried to forget it, put it away, and tried to keep it off my mind, but exactly at 1, I opened the little metal box and lighted one of the cones. There was a lot of smoke, sweet, scented, thick. And that's all I remember.
Good Lord.
What are you doing?
Is there any more of the stuff left?
Oh, 2 more little cones.
Here, let's see. Yes, there are 2 left. Here, give me a match.
What?
A match. Get me a match.
Oh no.
Oh, here's one.
Oh, don't, please don't.
I'm going to see what this nonsense is all about.
Oh, no. Oh, please, you don't know what you're doing.
Well, we'll see in a minute. There.
Oh, I beg you not to do that.
So much smoke. So quickly. I don't understand how a little thing like that can produce so much smoke. That odor.
The same. The very same.
So strange.
Oh,
Smoke. Look how it rolls in great clouds, hiding everything.
stop it. Stop it.
So much smoke, hiding everything. Can hardly see you.
Oh.
It's like we were in another world.
You are in another world.
What? What's that?
Welcome, Rotha and Letha.
Who are you? Where are you?
I am here beside you. You see?
Yes, and now I do. The smoke's clearing away.
What happened? What happened?
Don't you recognize me, Rotha?
My name's Ruth. I've never seen you before.
Ah, that is where you are wrong. You have seen me before.
No, I don't know you.
You mean you don't recognize me?
Who are you?
My name is Mota.
Mota.
Yes, Rotha. I am the Holy One.
I don't understand.
What's happened to us? We were in this young lady's apartment. Now we're someplace I've never seen before. Where are we?
You are on Vento.
Vento? What's Vento?
Vento is an offspring of Venus and Pluto.
What?
It is a planet as yet undiscovered by the scientists of the Earth. Many hundreds of thousands of years ago, Venus and Pluto collided. That probably would sound absurd to your astrologers today, but it is a fact. As a result of the collision, Vento came into being. A portion of Venus and a part of Pluto fused, broke off, and became Vento.
You're talking over my head.
Naturally, the people who existed on Pluto and those of Venus intermingled with Vento, became a planet in its own right. As a result of that ancient catastrophe, the Ventonians came into existence. I am one of them. And the two of you are now here amongst us.
But how? How did we get here?
You remember the incense?
Oh, yes.
The incense?
It is one of Vento's secrets. A tiny cone that emits a vapor powerful enough to permit anyone in contact with it to do as we here on Vento bid him to do.
It still got me goofy. After I started the incense burning, everything changed. We ended up here.
Naturally, because when you came in contact with the released vapors, I bade both of you to come here. And here you are.
Oh, now what do you take us for? This is the 20th century. Folks like us aren't taken in by some crack.
Just one moment. Here. Will you look through this?
Through what?
This telescope. Here. Right through here.
Oh, now.
It will not hurt you to look, will it?
If you insist.
That's right. In there. Now. What do you see?
A large, round globe.
It is the Earth. 10 million miles from here.
Preposterous.
You think so? Here. I'll turn on the ultra-penetrating ray machine and show you how preposterous it is. Now, what do you see?
Closer. It's coming closer. Yes, something's happening.
The ultra-penetrating ray is making 10 million miles of distance look like only inches.
It is the Earth. There's Europe, Great Britain, China, and Australia. Now I can see the California coast. And Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Illinois, Florida, Pennsylvania, New York.
Suppose we concentrate upon Florida. There.
No. It's not possible.
What do you see, Mr. Saunders?
A funeral. The funeral of Jan Mason, the golfer.
Oh, no.
Suppose you permit Rotha to look, Mr. Saunders.
Yes, all right.
Go right ahead, Rotha. That's right. There. You still do not remember, Rotha?
Why do you call me Rafa?
Because that is your name.
My name is Ruth.
When you were here, you were called Rotha.
When I was here.
Many centuries ago, Rotha, you were originally a Ventonian.
What are you talking about?
We have theories of reincarnation as you do on your Earth.
Yes, I've heard about it vaguely, but...
The one failing is that your theories do not go far enough.
What do you mean?
That there is such a thing as reincarnation, Mr. Saunders. But it is not restricted to one single planet, such as the Earth.
You surely aren't trying to tell us that Miss Kendish here is the reincarnation of someone who lived up here.
Whether or not you accept it, it remains a fact.
Oh, that's utterly ridiculous.
I'm glad I had the foresight to think of your reluctance to believe. So I have prepared the truth.
Prepared what?
What are you talking about? What's the explanation of all
Must I
this?
explain it again? The vapor of the incense I sent you. Once it surrounds you, you are at the mercy of the Ventonian who sent it. You on your planet would call it black magic.
But it is merely nothing more than applied science.
What's this proof you were talking about?
I will extinguish the lights and show you. Here on Bento, all time, all incidents are recorded. I shan't attempt to explain them completely. Suffice it to say, the principle is somewhat similar to that of your talking pictures, only on a much more advanced and widespread scale. Anything that has ever happened here on Bento since the invention of this recorder can be reviewed by those who wish to see it. That's why there is no crime, no evil here. Now, I turn on the machine. I must ask you to be silent. Do not speak.
Mr. Saunders, look.
Quiet.
That's me.
Quiet, I say. It is you, but not in your present body. It is you of centuries ago. Watch closely now and listen.
Come in.
Darling.
Kenta, dearest.
Forgive me for coming to you so late, but I had to see you before tomorrow.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, dearest. I've waited for you all day.
I've been at practice.
Are you ready for the game tomorrow?
Yes, quite. I fear I'll have trouble defeating Yana, though. He's become quite expert.
No, do you care so much?
Martha, if I should lose tomorrow... Oh, but we mustn't think of such a thing. Victory means everything to both of us.
Oh, he can't win now. My poor Kenta. He tried so hard. But now it's too late. Unless there's a miracle. If Yana misses 2 strokes... Oh, but he can't. And even if he did, it would be a draw. If he takes but 1 stroke, my poor Kenta will be defeated. Yana is ready now. If he does it in a single stroke, Kenta has lost. Now. He did it. Yana did it. My poor Kenta. Kenta.
My dearest one, I come to you, but without the cup of gold.
No, does it matter so much?
Yes, much. I promised that you should have the cup.
But I don't mind.
I should have won.
We still have each other, Kenta. We will be married.
No, Ratha. For yesterday, I swore by the great god Venda that should I not be victorious, I wouldn't be worthy of you.
You swore by Venda?
Yes, a sacred oath. I was so eager for victory, I knew that the very thought of losing you forever would inspire me to win. But I failed.
An oath sworn to Venda is a holy oath. I must resign myself to it. But now I swear by the great god of Venda, a holy and a sacred oath, that I will avenge what has happened. I will take vengeance from Yana if all eternity is required for me to do it.
I believe that is all the proof you need.
Ruth, did you know Truman Davis?
Truman Davis?
Truman Davis, the national golf champion. The one who was beaten by Jan Mason.
No, I didn't know either of them.
You think not, Rotha? Don't you recognize the man called Jan Mason? He is the reincarnation of the man Yana, who defeated Kenta in the games many years ago.
It all seems so familiar, and yet I'm so upset.
You swore a terrible oath centuries ago. An oath to work vengeance upon Yana. In your span of life here on Bento, you did not find the opportunity to avenge yourself. And so, as one of the high priests of Bento, it was my duty to bring to a climax your ancient oath. You sent that devilish incense to her. You prompted her to go out there and kill Jan Mason. Gave her that golden cup.
It is the cup Kenta lost to Yana centuries ago. It amazes and confuses the Earth people greatly.
You're responsible for all that happened. Hypnotized this girl. Now what?
Now she'll return to the Earth and accept her punishment.
Oh, no. No, that's not right.
It is not for you to say.
It's for me to say. Take this. Quick, there's no time to lose.
There's no escape from here.
The incense, I still have it here. There's one cone left, just one.
Well, what can you do?
Now, you heard what he said. Anyone here on this planet can use it. Oh, confound it, haven't I got a match? Yeah, here's one. Now.
Lee.
Careful. It's my last match. There. It's burning. Now, turn on that ray machine.
Do what?
Turn it on, turn it on.
Oh, all right. What are you going to do?
Look into the telescope. Watch. Tell me what happens.
All right.
I'm holding the burning incense in front of the telescope lens. Oh, I'm hoping.
Lee, it's still focused on the funeral. But something's happened.
Yes?
The coffin is gone. It's open. Someone's sitting up in it.
Is it Jan Mason?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Good. Just a mere thought did it. The penetrating ray sent the incense vapor directly to Earth, to the man in the casket, Mason. And I concentrated on his coming to life again.
He is. He is alive.
Oh, our friend's coming too.
What do we do?
Here, give me your hand.
What?
Give me your hand. Come on, hurry, hurry.
Lee, that's smoke.
Hurry, there's no time to lose.
How are we going to get away from here?
Simple. You saw what a mere thought did for Jan Mason. Hold tight now. Here we go.
Dark fantasy. You have heard The Cup of Gold, tonight's original tale of dark fantasy by Scott Bishop. Ben Morris was Lee Saunders, Eleanor Naylor Corrin played Ruth, Muir Height was the High Priest, and George Onday was Kenta. Next Friday, the 26th in this dark fantasy series created by Scott Bishop. Coffins for Two. The weird and pulse-pounding tale of two boxes roughly hewed into the shape of caskets, bearing 3 silver handles on each side and silver nameplates, on which were engraved the names of 2 living people. This is Tom Paxton speaking.
That was The Cup of Gold from Dark Fantasy here in the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society podcast. Once again, I'm Eric.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Joshua.
That was Tim's pick. The next sound you're going to hear is the sound of my head banging against this microphone. Oh, my God. Dark Fantasy did it again. Oh, you're going. Oh, that's not bad. Where are you going? What are you doing? What is happening?
They went to Ventos.
Yeah. I've been holding this back for about 2 hours we've been together tonight, right?
Feels longer.
God, I hate this show. And Bishop, you're terrible. Again, just like every other dark fantasy, it goes for about 10 minutes.
And then it takes the gorilla flying the plane twist.
Right.
Yes.
It just, what are you doing?
But it starts so good.
It starts so good.
This may be one of the best first halves of a dark fantasy I've ever heard. And what I realized listening to this is that every single episode of Dark Fantasy is the episode in which Dark Fantasy jumps the shark.
Does Bishop have some kind of attention disorder? Like he can't focus? Like, here's another thought in my head.
I was trying to piece it together of, does he reverse engineer these? Of like starting out that, I want to write a story about a world that has reincarnation, but you can reincarnate on Earth, and it's going to be a revenge story. So I just need to sort of figure out something to set that up, but still that doesn't explain, so it's revenge over a game that was lost, and...
It's a game of space golf. And keep in mind...
Exactly like golf.
Keep in mind, the revenge is not because this guy cheated.
No.
She has vowed eternal revenge against the man who is merely a little bit better at space golf than her boyfriend. That's what killed me.
So on another planet, a long time ago, they were playing golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, sure.
That game's been around a long time,
It's
man.
been boring people for thousands of years.
But Oh my, don't you want to hear the series about the crime-busting sports reporter?
Yes.
It's a fantastic opening. The newscaster opening is out of this world.
Yes.
And I was hooked. There's a strange...
You knew. Dark Fantasy is going to stab you in the back.
I honestly was thinking, this is the one. This is why Tim chose it. Damn you, Tim!
I was thinking the same thing. As it was going along, I said, oh, now I know why he went back to Dark Fantasy. He found one that works. And no, the incense comes, and then they're on another planet.
I will say this. The incense is a great bit of mystery. So she can't remember what happened, and then she got a package with 3 cones of incense.
Yeah.
This is going to get a little weird, but I'm on board. I'm intrigued. This is really original, and then they're on another planet.
That's exactly what I thought. We're on another world. Yes, you are.
I want to point out that here on Earth, we have named those planets Pluto and Venus, and amazingly, so did they. We accidentally picked the same names that they chose for their planets, with what I'm assuming is a completely different language. And then the planets collide.
Sure.
The two races get mushed together.
And then they go back into their orbit just fine.
Yeah.
And they make another planet, which they very cleverly call Vento.
Because it's like Venus and Pluto.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I know. I get it.
Instead of calling it Plutus.
It's so much
You're a Plunus. I now have 2 words I'm putting into my vocabulary: Plunus and Ventonians, which is my new improv group name. The only explanation for the colliding planets and nothing going really horribly wrong in our solar system was this: things that your astronomers couldn't understand.
Clearly, yes.
Clearly.
But does he say astronomer? It sounded like he said astrologers.
He did say astrologers, yes.
Yes, it was like, so even astrologers, even the most crackpot people on your planet would say, that's absurd.
How does that work?
And we just lost all of our astrologer listeners. I don't know where to begin. Do we just go down the line and go wrong, wrong, wrong?
I will say this about it.
Oh.
It never, at any moment, is dull. I listened to it 3 times.
How did you do that?
I listened to it over and over again.
It is incredibly bad in a way that is just exciting.
I will say,
amazing.
some of the story of how I came to bring this episode to you, I was cherry picking, like, what is the most dark fantasy episode that we haven't already listened to. Mm-hmm. And so I listened to some, like, oh, that's quite good, actually. And I'll bring that sometime later. But that's not what I wanted this time. I wanted the really wacko one. So I've cherry-picked, this is the one that satisfied that itch for me.
Game of space golf. And again, it's so all over the place as to what the motivations are for everything. Like, I just don't understand.
And poor Kenta.
Any of it.
He's doomed to be reincarnated through all of eternity as some guy who's just almost good enough to win a golf championship.
Why did he take a sacred oath if he loses? He took a sacred oath that if he loses, he can't have his wife.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the plot.
Space golf is everything.
Because the plot.
It's one of those great pieces of really rickety old science fiction, yet there's something highly entertaining about it, is they just have whatever they need at any given moment for the plot. It's like, here's our ultra penetrator, or whatever they call the ray.
To be fair, the why is akin to, why is it such a bad thing that Oedipus kills his father and sleeps with his mother? No, I phrased that wrong. It's bad.
Wow. You're very open-minded, Tim. I appreciate that about you.
Why is that a prophecy you have to be worried about?
Right. Yeah. So
space golf.
She brings, right. She is brought back to this guy on this planet who then reveals very slowly what the hell is going on. So slowly that he mentions every single state.
Yeah.
Through the telescope. But anyway, he brings her back, and then he says, okay, so you don't know this, but you've been reincarnated, and now you've fulfilled this prophecy that you have gotten revenge for the space golf game that took place.
And now you must face human justice.
Now you got to go back to Earth and be punished. Why? What the hell is the point? Why did you do that to me? And why did you take a half an hour to tell me? Why didn't you just leave me there? Why? I am so mad.
But you're not even getting to the cherry on top.
Oh, that's the best part is the end.
What happened?
They jumped onto incense fumes and went back to Earth and said, "Here we go."
After raising the dead.
So that she could be punished?
No, she won't be punished because he's not dead.
They brought him back to life.
Oh.
It's a happy ending.
Well, don't say it to me like, duh, how did you not follow the plot line?
No,
Scott Bishop didn't follow this.
But that's such a ridiculous image that they paint with the
not even
ultra
his real name.
penetrating ray that shows him sitting up in his coffin at his funeral in Florida.
Which is where all that stuff happens.
All the golfing.
I assumed he began to eat the survivors in the funeral there.
Yeah, as he looks through the telescope, there's California, there's Arizona, there's Nevada, there's Oregon, there's Montana, Utah, Missouri, Louisiana. Oh my God!
The Ventonians invented everything that was crucial to Scott Bishop's plot. Did you know that? Universal reincarnation, worldwide surveillance, and that is why there is no crime or evil or privacy or freedom on Vendo. Incense that allows you to control whoever is in contact with the incense, and of course, golf. Together,
but the
that
opening
is admirable.
Was so good.
It is. Again, we were onto something. Name an episode of Dark Fantasy, and we'll talk about how the first 10 minutes are phenomenal. I thought this woman not knowing what happened and that she killed somebody.
Mm-hmm. Just a step back to the announcer. The actor does a fabulous job.
Yeah.
The script is great. You are hooked. And then that little bit of, why are they looking at that cup? And you're distracted by what's going on with the cup. And then you hear gunshots. And you're just totally engaged in the story. And they do this nice flip from a announcer who's talking directly to you. It's a one-sided conversation. And then they flip to the one-sided phone conversation with her. And just structurally, you're like, maybe there's something really interesting going on.
There was. It's going to go away real soon.
And then, Bishop just got bored. Let's go to another planet somehow.
I don't know that he got bored. Here's the thing that I think is fascinating about Scott Bishop is that he has the hardest part of writing down the ideas. The guy has too many ideas. He is just nothing but ideas.
Right.
The stuff you have to go away and work on, he never did. Craft, structure. Right. And so a lot of people would love to have as many ideas as he has. There are 6 different potential old-time radio episodes in each dark fantasy.
Right. We've said that every time. There's 6 really good plots here in this 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Having listened to many more of these episodes now.
Except for Space Golf. Not a good idea.
It sounds like a Devo song. Space Golf. We were killed by Space Golf. Reincarnated. Space Golf. Dum, dum.
Having listened to many of these episodes, there is a quality that I think he values and is trying to perfect. This daydream drifting dream logic.
Yes.
Which becomes nonsense most of the time. I found a couple episodes where that works. It's a little bit of wandering around and a little bit of, I don't know what you're doing, what's happening, but in the end it comes together into something satisfying. That worked once that I heard. And I'll bring that sometime. But I didn't want that this time. I wanted this nonsense.
Because this is admirably crazy. I've listened to quite a few in search of those 1 or 2, and I have one that I think works too. But it's not as fun, honestly. It merely works.
Yes.
This is just... You have to listen to it again just to make sure what you heard actually is what you heard, right? Yeah. This wasn't all about golf.
I did that with some dark fantasies for a while, and then on this one I went, nope, screw you. I'm not doing it. You're not making me listen.
Bishop.
I must have missed the transition. There wasn't one.
Nope.
Here's the thing that really bugs me. If you go online, there is a lot of accolade for dark fantasy. This is one example. And again, yes, Tim, I did research. In the golden age, radio dark fantasy was the breath of fresh air that revived interest in the horror genre. Bishop managed to merge the supernatural with science fiction and injected it with a twist of old-fashioned folklore. As old radio shows went, dark fantasy was way ahead of its time. Am
When I was looking into this,
crazy?
one of the things that was being pointed out was that dark fantasy often gets omitted from a lot of old radio collections of, like, here's everything that's going on with old radio. So I think its fans might be overstating, like, this is forgotten, this is overlooked.
And it is also like nothing else. That's
true.
not necessarily a good thing, but it's like nothing else in that it has no logic or a sense of cause and effect, like really basic
don't get
narrative
it.
things that don't exist
Right.
in their world. I think people I've interacted with who like dark fantasy is for that dreamlike quality that's very compelling, and it usually happens in the first 10 to 15 minutes. And it starts with that great opening. Dark fantasy. And
It's
it has
one
that,
of
and
the.
that music.
I'll say it
and
again. One of the best openings in old time radio.
I think if Scott Bishop had been willing to follow that dreamlike logic and not necessarily wrap everything up logically, if he'd
It's
just
like
gone
the-
ahead and been like, I'm going to be the David Lynch of old time radio, even though I don't know who David Lynch is yet, and like not felt the need. It's always when he's like, now I'm going to make sense of everything in the second 15 minutes.
It's exactly like you start watching TV and you're watching a show and like, this is pretty good. And then you fall asleep halfway through and your brain, your subconscious, takes little bits of that TV show and does something crazy with it.
Right. So every single day of my life, because that's how I watch TV.
I think he wrote everything one draft in chronological order and started drinking at page 1 and just was tanked by the end.
Hallucinating.
Here we go.
I just don't understand how anybody could be a fan of the show. And I'm so sorry. I cannot follow anything logical about you listening to these shows and going, that was really satisfying.
Satisfying doesn't always mean good.
Sometimes it satisfies a bad itch. An itch you shouldn't have.
There are times when the food I want more than anything in the world is beefaroni.
God, I like beefaroni.
This is the beefaroni of old time radio. I'll agree with you there.
I like Hamburger Helper a lot. Yeah, I do. That's good. I'd rather talk about Hamburger Helper than dark
Our new
fantasy.
podcast.
Can we vote?
Yes.
This is a meandering, unfocused, and rushed piece of crap written like how a child tells stories. Next. I'm so mad at it.
I'm not mad at it because I don't know how to feel about it because it is objectively bad. It makes no sense, but the ideas, the willingness to just write this crap and put it on the radio, I guess.
So you're giving him credit for being
All I'm
brave.
saying is what he lacks in like technical writing skills, he makes up for in big ideas. On the flip side, if you feel no obligation to logic or cause and effect, it's arguably easy to surprise people with ideas, I guess. I don't know. It does not stand the test of time. It's objectively terrible, but highly, highly, highly entertaining from my point of view.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat of this does not stand the test of time. It is as nonsensical now as it was then. It's not even really of historical significance, but it is just so novel and weirdly compelling. And it is a challenge to try to figure it out.
They're always a challenge.
Not like the plot is difficult. It's just what? Why?
Do you remember trying to figure out the plot of It Came from the Sea?
Yeah.
I was just befuddled. Like, what is going on?
This is way better than It Came from the Sea.
It's more clear than that.
I mean, better as in the
has
bad
been-
ideas are more original. The bad ideas, that's like they're shocking and surprising. Like, where did that come from? The
Space Golf and Incense.
yeah,
Right?
come on.
I will say this, and I mean this, to give some kind of kudos. Some of the best first 10 minutes of old-time radio I've ever heard. And it happened in The Thing from the Sea. It happened in
Spawn of the Subhuman.
Spawn and the Subhuman. It even kind of happened in W is for Werewolf. You're on board to the point of, this is so great. Where are we going? And then the trapdoor gives.
I feel like there's some dark fantasy plot here that explains his script writing process. Like he has a half-developed evil twin that pops out of his shirt and finishes each script.
That's what it feels
with
like,
his
right?
little tiny hands.
He gets 10 minutes in and hands it over to somebody else.
Some other bizarre
His
creature.
kid.
Yeah.
We talked about this before with his writing, that when a child tells stories between the ages of like 4 and 6, the meandering...
Yeah. And then there's reincarnation, and then there's a penetration ray, and then we need to talk to the counselor.
Oh, and I know all 50 states. Let me read them. I'm going to say all 50 states. Okay. Tim, tell him stuff.
Please go visit ghoulishlights.com. If you had a good time here, you probably have very low standards. You're our kind of listener.
Yay!
Ghoulishlights.com, you'll find other episodes of this podcast. You can leave comments. You can vote on what you thought. You can let us know in general, are you a dark fantasy supporter and a defender, or are you going to say something, that makes sense? Because I'm not. You can also, if you have episodes you'd like us to listen to, that's a great way to get a hold of us and let us know what your requests are.
You can also go to patreon.com/themorals and support this podcast. We really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody who has contributed to the podcast, become a Patreon member, and we love each and every one of you within reason. Nothing creepy. Don't worry. And you can also go to iTunes and write a review. Thank you so much for everyone who has already written a review. Write more reviews. Thank you.
If you'd like to see us performing live, we do recreations of Golden Age classic radio shows, and we also do original scripts as a theatrical company. So you can come see us perform live radio shows by going to MysteriousOldRadioListeningSociety.com, and there's links to our schedule. Right now, here in 2020, we are performing regularly at the Park Square Theater in St. Paul. What is coming up next?
Next, we have our postponed Valentine's Day episode, and that will be featuring my lovely wife, Adrian. And we will be listening to an episode I picked just for her, The Cave of Ali Baba from Suspense. Until then...
Look out!
Space Gold, we were killed by Space Gold. Reincarnated Space Gold.